In today's video, we are going to have a look at somebody you will most likely know already. It is a tank which 5 years ago I reviewed. And, well, you're gonna have a look at the video. It's also the gameplay you see sometimes in the background of this video. It is cringy as hell, definitely. But it is also a tank which 3 years ago got put into the SuperTest as a Tier 8 premium. And now we're going to have a look at the Aufklärungspanzer Panther on Tier 7, which is once again getting tested on the super test. In today's video, we're going to have a quick look at comparing it to other Tier 7 scouts, before then comparing it to the OG version and the Tier 8 version, which we have right now in the game files and which is not being used, because there are some differences and there are some personal preferences I am having. So let's just jump right in. Now, let's have a real quick overview about all the stats the Aufklärungspanzer Panther, or what I'm going to call it now, the AFK Panther, has. It has a 135 damaging gun with 157 millimeters of standard penetration with 205 millimeters of premium penetration. You can see it has no HE, it just has AP and APCR. Pretty long reload time, 55 kph top speed with 850 horsepower engine, superb armor for a scout, and that's about it. Now, again, let's compare it to other Tier 7 light tanks. Now, as you can see, the base DPM with the 5.5 seconds reload time, that kind of sucks. 1427. That is compared to the other lights we have, especially like tanks like the LTG, the T71, or the WZ131, very poor. It is on the level of Setter and the Spic. However, the Spic has 220 alpha potato launcher, while we just have 135. And I want to also say a lot of people hate this setter because it's slow and has no alpha and no DPM. However, a lot of people don't or are underestimating the HE of the setter. It is a hash round of 75 millimeters of penetration, which gives an additional 50 alpha. So you can definitely pump up that DPM this setter has, where meanwhile our AFK Panther cannot. It only has AP rounds. And this is a little bit the first problem we are having with the AFK Panther. The AFK Panther is just, the main selling features back in the days were that it is a DPM monster and it had great top speed for its size. And as you probably saw before, and as you can see right now, this is not the case anymore. It doesn't have good DPM. It is actually one of the worst base DPMs on Tier 7, except for autoloaders, but who gives a shit? They don't really count in such a scenario. And on the other hand, it doesn't have that much top speed and either anymore. You will see it in some minutes when we are comparing it to the old version. However, I do want to point out the OG version, the old 5 year ago AFK Panther version, was a Tier 7 scout in a matchmaking, which was basically, right now a Tier 8. So again, back in the days, Tier 7 scouts were basically used like Tier 8s. They were like matchmaking wise, today they're like Tier 8s. Yeah, accuracy-wise, here the AFK Panther is definitely shining like a star. 0.33 accuracy, best of the bunch. 1.6 seconds aim time, best of the bunch. 15 hole accuracy, not the best, but it's fairly good. 0.08 turret accuracy, best of the bunch. Seriously, accuracy-wise, the gun is what you would expect from a German machine. It is accurate and it has an insanely quick aim time and it has good stabilization. So that is a very, very cool feature about this tank, and that's something which I'm probably going to look forward to using. But again, coupled with the DPM, it kind of feels like the A46, like no DPM whatsoever. Because in the end, the setter also doesn't have bad aim time, and I was fairly good at sniping with this tank as well. Sure, you have a little bit more from everything, but will it be enough to, compensate for the lack of penetration? Also, you see it has 10 degrees of gun depression. Yes, that is true, but it's over the side. So the people which played the RU251 will know what I mean. Over the front, you have like 8 to 6 degrees, and over the side, you have the 10 degrees. So you have to play a little bit smarter when you want to use the AFK Panthers to its full potential. And speed, that is just tragic, boys. It is the worst of them all. 55 kph top speed. So many people say the setter's top speed is garbage, which is correct. And yet, it is worse than that. And then, 22.3 HP per ton ratio. Come on, Wargaming. Back in, like, what is that? It's the worst of all. Sure, it is heavy and stuff, and sure, it will be great for ramming, but that is just bad. Like, it is worse than a Spic, it is worse than a T-71 and the CMCD. Like, it is worse by quite a long shot. Like, oh, why? Survivability, yes, 1000 hit points. That is quite a lot of hit points you can abuse. 380 meters of view range. Well, that is a little bit underwhelming. I would have liked to see 390 right there. Yeah. And one thing which is also interesting, apparently the stationary camo value is at 20%. So that makes, for me personally, no sense. Why does it have 20% base camo? At least that is what I've got told. It is better than Setter, LTG, Spic, T-71, WZ. Like, why? It is fat, it is big, so why the frick does it have suddenly best camouflage, you know? Makes some, like, no sense to me. Especially when I would say, yo, take away the camo and give me some good old DPM back. And now let's talk about the old stats. Again, please keep in mind the old stats, it would be comparable to a tier 8 scout today. And there is also the Aufklärungspanzer version on tier 8, which is right now on tanks.gg and again was tested 3 years ago. So I want to use that as a comparison as well. And you will already see, on tier 8, the AFK Panther would just feel more at home. You know, Wargaming can give it a decent DPM. Wargaming can give it amazing penetration for a scout. Like that looks like very, very interesting. And the problem is, look at the old DPM. That was 2,382. 900 DPM more than what we have right now. Sure, the accuracy was minimally worse. But come on, look at that. 1.6 seconds aim time. Yeah, there it's better, obviously. The tier 8 version Wargaming tested. Yes, it has 30 damage more, which is interesting. Doesn't really need to have that, to be honest, but it is more. Sure, I take that. And obviously, because of that, it has a longer reload time. But the aim time is roughly the same, and the accuracy is even better than what we have in the tier 7 version. And if you kept in mind, yes, even the accuracies on the move and the turret traverse are better on the tier 8 version with its 75mm caliber gun. The remaining stats we also have a quick look at. And that is also just travesty. Both the OG version and the tier 8 version have 60 kph top speed, while the tier 7 is castrated to 55. Why? I don't get it. The OG version had 390 meters of base view range. Sure, again, you can count it as a tier 8 scout. And it has a 900 horsepower engine. And this is also what I don't understand. Yo, it had a 900 horsepower engine. Why do you cut that down to 850, giving it one of the worst specific power to weight ratios? Where meanwhile, the tier 8 version they tested 3 years ago had a 1,200 horsepower engine with 28.75 HP per ton ratio. Now, that was a ramming behemoth. Like, if you got rammed by that in another scout, you are just getting obliterated. Amazing frontal armor, 85mm, amazing power to weight ratio, and high top speed. That is like devastating, you know. So I simply do not really get it. Like, I genuinely do not get it. What Wargaming was thinking with that. Because the more I'm looking at that, the more I have to say that the OG version as well as the tier 8 premium version look more interesting in their own respective site. And again, I know that this is SuperTest. Everything can change still. But comparing the tier 7 version to the tier 8 version, I have to say I would take the tier 8 version every single time, over every time when I have the opportunity to choose. Because lately tier 8 became a pretty decent tier. I guess it's also because of ranked. A lot of tier 8 10s are taken out of the queue, probably. But the tier 8 has unique features like an insanely quick aim time. It has the lowest damage per shot on tier 8 scouts, which is interesting by itself. It has good DPM, it has an amazing accuracy, and it has I think the highest standard penetration in the game for tier 8 scouts at 221. So the tier 8 version looked so much more unique than what we have right now on the tier 7 version, on the currently tested tier 7 SuperTest version. So let's go to the conclusion. And that just makes me sad. I was so hyped when I heard, yo, Aufklärungspanzer Panther is once again getting tested. And it is an amazing tank, you know, it is a unique tank. It's a tank which I have a very deep bond to. It's a tank which I enjoy so much. And I'm so glad that it comes back. It's in a unique and OG vehicle. But then again, in the current situation or the current iteration, they are trying to propose it. And I don't know what it's going to be. If it's going to be a premium, if it's going to be long-deserved reward for next year, because this year I can guarantee it's a Super Chaffee. Or if it's going to be like, I don't know, a loot box tank for Christmas. I do not know. Maybe it's going to be a tank for a new personal campaign. You know, maybe it's a personal campaign for OG tanks, 263B, SU-122-54, Aufklärungspanzer Panther, Super ELCBs, who knows? But the issue is what I'm having right now, it just simply is not cutting it. It definitely, and I might not have been as vocal about it with the Super Chaffee because I don't have such a deep bond, but here I am insanely subjective. I have a bond to this tank. I loved that tank back in the days, and now we get a castrated version on tier 7, which is by far worse than what the OG was. And seeing what the tier 8 could have been, it's once again a kind of a kick to the balls, because the tier 8 version looked so much interesting as well compared to the tier 7 version. And I want to be vocal about it. Why? Because I do hope we could change something. Either push it up to tier 8, make it more competitive, or maybe think of what you could be able to give the Aufklärungspanther. At minimum wargaming, 60k page top speed, 900 horsepower engine. This is the bare minimum wargaming should give the Aufklärungspanzer Panther. Additionally, I'd love to see 390 meters of view range and like maybe 0.5 second quicker reload time. So we can pump up the DPM to roughly 1700, you know. It doesn't have to be 2k, which would be a little bit too much for tier 7, definitely. But 1700, yeah, that wouldn't be too bad, you know. But 1400, nah man, that is simply too little. Something, again, core features of the Aufklärungspanzer Panther were speed for ramming, size, and DPM. And sadly, we only have the size, which is actually a drawback, you know. Yeah, that's everything I'm having for you today. Don't forget to leave me some feedback and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you will always want to be up to date. Thank you so much for Des Gamings for shouting me out in the current video. We were talking about it previously and it was amazing to see he also wrote to me about my thoughts and comments video. Like he watched the whole thing and gave me some input and I kind of feel bad. And he said I shouldn't feel bad because everything I said there when I was talking about him, it wasn't meant to be mean or anything, or like I didn't want it to you know, like what's his name? What's the name? I didn't want it to scold him or say yeah he is shit or anything, and he didn't took it that way, which I'm very, very glad. I just said what I felt, and he also told me how he feels about that thing, and that definitely there is a lot of things he's doing himself as well, and that he simply found his niche, which very well works out. So yeah, that was very, very kind of him, and it's very, very nice to talk with him. And maybe we're going to do some couple of videos together. Who knows? Well, maybe we will see, because that's also something he offered me, which is very, very cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, because feedback is important. Don't forget to write your feedback into the forums as well. I am very vocal about this. Again, it is one of my favorite tanks in the game. So yeah, I am biased. I want it to be competitive, or at least competitively fun, and not just some former shadow which is so castrated that it's literally not fun anymore. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers, good luck on a battlefield, and I'll see you around.